Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you this afternoon. My name is Vivian. This is Lighted Talk with Vivian. In case you're seeing me for the very first time, I'm super delighted to have you with me. And I know that many more will still join us in today's live. So it's my first time going live. Someone is nervous, like going live. Okay, so yeah. Want to discuss something very important today, like something that happens in family settings, and that whether you are a parent or you are an aspiring parent to be, this topic is very, very important, and you will thank me afterwards. So, want to look at favoritism, right? It's a topic that is not widely discussed, but it's a cankerworm that eats up home. Favoritism is a cankerworm that eats up many homes. And today we're going to look at it in various forms. We're going to look at the instances, what happens in case you're that parent that is asking, do I really treat a particular child of mine differently? Or you are wondering, we're going to give you instances in today's video. And we're going to talk about the consequences on our children, and equally you're going to look at solutions, how to navigate through it. And I want to point this out very clearly, that favoritism is something that somehow you can't avoid as a parent. It's a kind of a natural phenomenon. Maybe the word is not favoritism, but preferring liking a particular child more is natural, and I don't think you have control over it. Just like you just see a person and I just like this person, right? Yes. So but where it becomes a problem is where you start to treat these children because of how you feel, right? So yes, you might feel a bit differently about a particular child of yours, but you are not permitted, we are not permitted to treat a particular child differently because of how we feel about that child. And like I was saying in the beginning, that this favoritism has eaten up many homes. To some, it has become a transgenerational issue. It keeps happening. And what we find is that people don't even take it seriously. They don't even take time to say, oh, this happened between me and my mom, or this happened in my family. And it seems like that is the same thing that is repeating in my own family. People don't even have time to think about it. So we're going to look at all these dynamics today. So I don't know if you're where you're joining me from, wherever you're joining from, you're welcome once again. And let's quickly dive into the topic of today. So I have my slides here that I'll be looking at, and I want to give us the instances, right? That in case you're still wondering, I don't think I do that. And the truth is that whether you think you do that or not, it has the same impact on the children. It has great negative impact on the children. Then let's look at some of the instances. For instance, always making excuses for that child that you prefer. No, it's nothing. Nothing the child does is an offense. You always find excuse, concerning that child, to defend the child, to justify the child's action, laughing more at the child's joke, playing more with the child. These things could be intentional, they could be unintentional. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter whether you are aware or not, the impact on the child is the same. So it's important we on the know now to guard against it, okay? So you play more with this child, you buy more things for this child, knowingly or unknowingly, you keep buying more things. You criticize the other child more in the name of correction, or other children, as the case may be. What I mean here is that if you have two children, it now has to be the other child. But if you have 5 children, it has to be other children against this one child. It's a serious dynamic. It could even be other children against a child, or a child against other children, depending on how your family setting works, okay? Then you see yourself comparing the other child or other children, and not the one that you prefer, okay? Then for this one that you do not prefer, you have high expectation. No, but you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to know this, most times without any reward, okay? Then there is strict disciplinary measure for the one that you don't really, let me not use the word you don't care about, that you don't prefer that much, that one that you are not you are showing favoritism against. Okay, there is important we know, like I said earlier, this could be a transgenerational issue that if we don't take our time, it breaks home. Let's take for instance the issue of Jacob and Joseph. So because Jacob was preferred by the mom and Esau by the dad, so that was the family dynamics that Jacob found himself, right? So for him, it's a kind of natural, it's not a problem for him to just single Joseph out and make a coat of many colors for him, right? For him, that's not bad, right? That's why I said that you don't even know does not remove the impact, the negative impact on the children. And you know what happened after he made a coat of many colors and is always praising Joseph, how the brothers hated him, and the rest is history. You know how that story ended. Okay, so it's something that we have to sit up and as parents and fight against. For me, it is a warfare, it's a fight. Like I earlier said, yeah, you might just prefer one child, and I will give you reasons most of us prefer a child to another. But all those reasons irrespective, we have no reason to now allow our feelings to affect our actions towards the child, towards any of our children, to the point that they will even begin to feel, oh, something is not right with me, or I sense an unfair treatment here. Okay, some of us think that this thing just happens while the children are with us and it ends there. No, sometimes it lingers till adulthood and it causes a lot of damage. Okay, so it's important we know all of this. I want us to now look at some of the things that makes us to prefer a child to another. And if you just if you resonate with, you just give me a thumbs up. Okay, and make sure you're liking the video. If you're getting value from what I'm saying so far, please just remember to give us a like on this video, so many parents will get to know about it. The first one is resemblance, and most times is physical resemblance. This one is a no-brainer, right? You have that child that looks like you from head to toe and all of that. You have this feeling that you just see yourself developing that soft spot for the child. It's natural, but we're saying that we have to guard against it. Okay, because if God starts to treat us that way, how do we feel, right? So physical resemblance is one of the reasons why we could prefer one child to another. And then the second one is competence. So if you see me looking this way, I'm looking at my system. Competence. You know, you have that child that is very smart, very talented, does one thing or the other more than the rest, and you're like, oh, no, I'm going to build my tent around this particular child, right? So these are the reasons why we tend to, give in to one child more than another. And like I said, all these excuses are not acceptable, okay? Yeah. Then the next one is disobedience. Before I go to disobedience, in case you're that parent that is saying, oh, I prefer James, or I prefer Ada, or I prefer Amaka because of this and that. Let me tell you my story. Growing up, guys, I don't know, in fact, I don't even know where to classify myself. I'm serious. At least I was knowledgeable enough to know some things in my primary 1, primary 2. I had some knowledge already, I'm already aware. I was taking the last position. Guys, talent, which talent? I was just not there. Nothing. So playful and all of that. So you would give up on me if you're a parent to be like, what kind of child is this? But trust me, from my primary 3, 4, 5, I so became intelligent that they were calling me brain teaser. Can you beat that? So if you're that child that you're preferring this other child because this other one is talented, is more intelligent and brilliant in school more than the other, be calming down. The journey is still far. Okay, all right. So the next thing that makes us to prefer a child more than the other is where the other child is disobedient. When that particular child is disobedient and stubborn. This is very typical with children. Do house chores, no, do this, and you're like, what? So yeah, naturally you will tend to move away from that one and move towards the ones that give you attention, that obeys your commandments and your instruction. But I tell you what, it's still too early. It's still too early. Giving myself as an instance again, growing up, I was very stubborn, like very, very, very stubborn. I could play from morning till night without doing any chores. Trust me, but before my mom died, she was so proud of me. She was super proud of me, right? I became almost his favorite child, right? So please, if you are being affected because a child is disobedient or stubborn, I would like you to think twice, okay? Then the next point why we tend to prefer one child to another is, yeah, this one is very important. This one is very, very important. Please listen. When a child resembles your spouse, and then this your spouse is someone that you feel, I won't say he does not, I don't want to say you feel that he does not love you, right? This is the man that mistreats you, maltreats you, doesn't treat you rightly, and then is now a carbon copy of your child is now a carbon copy of this man. So at times, let's be real, it's a kind of reminds you of the person that is bullying you or doing you badly, and you will just naturally not be very okay with that child, okay? And I would like you to know today that this is a spirit of dissension trying to scatter your home, because that is an innocent child. This one I'm saying now sounds simple, but it's happening in many homes. They'll just hate a child just because the innocent child looks like their partner or their spouse that is maltreating them, or their spouse that they are no more married to, or and all of that. So let's be careful. Is a cankerworm. The devil is knocking at the door. The child is innocent. Okay. Another one is when a particular child shows you more affection. Yeah, you get that gist. When a particular child is just more affectionate than the other, is the one that looks at your face and say, "Mommy, are you okay today? You want a massage? Have you eaten?" It's a very good thing. I love it. But I would like you to know that that is not enough for you to say the other child is not good, right? Because some children are not just very expressive for some reasons, right? It could be their personality, and some of them, as a counselor, we have found that their hearts could be full of love, but they don't just find a way, they don't just have the best way to express that love, okay? So please don't judge a child because it's not showing you affection. You never can tell what is in their mind. But let's also assume that, okay, this child truly doesn't care about you. What does the Bible say? Love the unloved, okay? So what is the difference between us and other people in the world who just reciprocate? You love them, they love you back. Jesus teaches that for that person that doesn't even love you is the one you should love more, okay? Right. So let's look at another instance where we tend to like or prefer one child to another. Yes, this one is also very important. When you feel like the birth of a child brought you misery, trust me, some people, this is their reason. They feel like, since I gave birth to this child, things have just been so difficult. It was because of this child I gained so much weight, I had stretch marks, and my partner left me. Since I gave birth to this child, these many excuses. When people, for me, it's a myth. For me, it's a, what's it called? What's the word? It's superstitious, right? Because you can't back it up biblically that a child brought you misery. It's not true. Children are the heritage of the Lord, the fruit of the womb, his reward. And every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord. Okay? So that child did not bring you any misery. Things happen, life happens. But I'm just telling you, these are the things people think about, and they tend to treat a particular child, differently. Like I said earlier, this is a spirit called the spirit of dissension, that the main target is to break homes. This is a spirit that hates unity and harmony. Okay? So we must be aware. Let me look at another point I have here, if I've got another. Okay, yeah. The next one is when the sex is not what you desire. This one is a no-brainer, right? Yes, if you are following and you are resonating what I'm saying, just remember to give this video a thumbs up. So when the sex of the child is not what you desire, you want a male child, which is common in Africa, and then you're having a girl child, you start to treat the child anyhow. Like, this is not what I want. The child does not matter, right? Or you wanted a girl child and you got a boy, which is not always, typical in Africa. So when this happens, you just see yourself. It's not like you plan not to like your child, or you plan not to, show affection to your child, or you plan to discriminate against your child. But these are a kind of natural things, especially if we're not being controlled by the Spirit, and we're not being led and discipled by the Spirit of God. It might even look natural and normal to you, but it's a spirit whose aim is to destroy your home. Because in a little while, we're going to be looking at the consequences of all this when we allow it to play out in our family. So I don't know how this relates to you, but it's just a kind of bringing us into that place of consciousness and awareness to say, is there in any way that I'm affected by these examples that we're given, these instances that we're given, okay? So we're going to look at how we are going to deal with it, right? And dealing with it is both spiritual and emotional. It's spiritual. It'd be like, Vivian, dealing with favoritism. How is it spiritual? It is spiritual. I've been saying, I'm still saying again, that it is the spirit of dissension that is after the family unit that is fighting your home. And we should be aware. We should see it as a battle. So in case you're already a victim of all I've explained, this is not in any way to make you feel condemned, like, oh my God, I've been doing this. Yes, this is my case. No. Okay. The Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth sets you free. Okay. So no condemnation. Just, keep on with your cup of coffee, you've got one, or your popcorn and your juice, and keep listening. Because at the end of the video, we're not just going to expose the consequences and tell you what leads to evil. We're going to arm you with what you're going to do to make sure that you come out of it swiftly, okay? I said it's both spiritual and emotional. It's a spiritual case, okay? First of all, you have to come to the Lord and ask God for forgiveness. Yes, we are not meant to treat any child better than the other. No, we are not meant to. We are not. So you're going to ask God for forgiveness. Lord, I'm so sorry that I've been treating this child like this, okay? And I'm going to stop it, because repentance is not just, oh, I'm sorry. Repentance is changing our ways. If you are going left, you repent. Repenting means you go right. If you've been doing this, you do this. So you ask the Lord for forgiveness, and you make the Lord a promise. You pledge, to make sure you do better. And I tell you what, the grace is there. I'm telling you, once you pray and ask Jesus to give you grace, is there. Okay? Say, blessed are those that seek after righteousness, for they shall be filled. All right. So moving on, we have looked at one of the spiritual things you do, which is to pray about it and ask God for forgiveness, right? And trust me, the Lord will forgive you and grant you the grace, okay? Secondly, you have to identify the spirits and rebuke it. Call it by name. You spirit of dissension that is sent to break my home. You can't succeed. You have been exposed, and I sack you out. Call it by name and rebuke it in your home. And this is not a one-time prayer. You keep praying it. You keep saying it, so that you sanctify your house of every kind of those spirits or an uncleanliness. Then the third thing I would like you to do is to start to consciously treat them equally. Okay, after you have made this prayer, that's why I say it's both spiritual, emotional, and other factors. After you've prayed, you now become aware and become more conscious to say, okay, when you buy something, you are conscious to say, I hope I'm not giving this person more. I have this someone I know, true life story, guys. She's got 3 boys, and I noticed that sometimes she calls the second born to pick something before the first born. When she gets something, the second born is always on her heart to beckon to take things. I'm like, no, it might seem normal to her, but these are canker worms. The other one is picking it. Children these days are highly emotionally intelligent, and they are keeping that record. So become more aware and be conscious to share things equally with them, okay? Show them equal affection. Make sure you share same time with them. You create time for this person, create time for the other, okay? Listen to them. Listen to that child genuinely. We're talking about the child that you've been treating differently now. Listen to that child genuinely. If the child is talking to you, listen. Show empathy. Maintain that eye contact. Give the child time. Hear him. Active listening to know, okay, this is what I got from what you're saying. Be mindful of their non-verbal clues. That time they are withdrawn, because one of the things that happen is that those children that are treated somehow tends to be so withdrawn and isolated. They're not always free to talk. You might think, oh, they are introverts. No, you make them introverts. Anyway, I come in peace. Okay, so yeah, listen to the child genuinely. Tell the child your mind that you love him. Tell the child, I love you. Yes, say it to the child. Some of you have not told your child, I love you. Say it. Okay? Then find good things about the child. Yes. Have you sat down to say, oh, do you know you are good in this? Do you know you are good in that? Praises. It will boost the child's self-esteem. This is extremely important. Okay? So let me say this thing about the child you think is stubborn and disobedient. Rebuking, beating the child, spanking, punishments, all of those disciplines, they don't work that much. For a disobedient or for a stubborn child, what works more effectively is counsel. Bring that child and say, let's talk. You do like this. Would you stop? And you say, Miss Vivian, I've been talking to this child. I've been talking to this child. Where you did it from a place of love. You know, love is intangible, but it can be felt. Even a child can feel love. Even animals feel love. When you're really coming from a place of love, okay? So keep talking to the child. I'm not saying don't discipline, even though that's not our topic today, but if you do discipline with love, you will get result. Counsel the child more, talk more than you beat that child, okay? This will really, really help you. So if you're getting value, please remember, if you're watching this video, to give us a thumbs up, okay? So that many parents will get to know about this video and be blessed by it, okay? So moving on, let's talk about the consequences. It's important we talk about the consequences of this. It's very grievous. It is very, very grievous, the consequences of favoritism. The first one is that it breeds jealousy. When you see a child that is treated differently from others, whether negatively or positively, what I mean is, if a particular child is treated more or is treated better, the other siblings will hate the child and be jealous of that one. That's what I mean. Then if the rest of the children are treated better than the particular child, that particular child will hate the rest and feel jealous. That's what we're trying to say. So it could be any of those. It breeds jealousy. And like I said earlier in starting this video, it might not end now. It might linger to their adulthood. Sibling rival is not as short-termed as we see it sometimes to be, or when issues begin to arise in homes in future, we are like, why are you doing like this? This is your brother, this is your sister. But you never made them to know that they are brothers and sisters, to show them love, equal love, affection, and all of that. So you started it, but you never knew. We thank God for knowledge, and we thank God for grace that will help us to do better. Okay, so yes, and it leads to depression. Some children that are treated differently, they suffer depression, where they become uninterested with anything. You're like, you're getting worse. Before you used to like football, now you don't like football, you don't like tennis, you don't like this one. The child has fallen into depression. Yes, it's a very big problem that we need to avoid, okay? So the next thing I would like you to know concerning these consequences is that it brings unhealthy comparison. You see the children, they're just striving for your love. You become a trophy. As a mom, as a dad, they're not supposed to be a trophy. They have the right, they have the entitlement to have access to your heart, to enjoy your love and your care. But you see where some parent becomes a trophy. You are even happy that, they are doing everything to please me. Is war. War is going on. War, rivalry. So they are doing those things. What matters is motive. They are doing it to please you, to become your favorite. I want to shift this person and enter. I want to be the one loved. I notice I'm treated differently. How do I buy her heart or his heart? Right? So I'm not saying it's a bad thing for your child to want to please you, but is that pleasing coming from a place of hurt, a place of rejection, which is the major spirit that the devil instills in children that are treated unfairly? And that's my next point. rejection. It's a spirit. And this rejection goes to affect everything they do. Sometimes it alters their personalities, affects their relationships, affects the way they, in fact, their adulthood, their career choices, their relationship with opposite sex is a big deal. Okay? So please, and I'm sure that is not what we want for our children. We don't want them to feel rejected. And the next point is low self-esteem. When a child feel rejected and feel not loved, the child will have low self-esteem. The child will not be confident enough, and because most time this is coming from a place of lack of ignorance, parents are fighting, doing everything. Oh, how do I boost my child's confidence? How do I help my child's esteem to come up? But you have been the one eating up the child's self-esteem. Okay, most time these things are not intentional, but in the spiritual world it doesn't matter. In fact, ordinarily, once there is always cause and effect. If you do a thing, you get the result, whether you know it or not. Okay, so it's very important that we understand this and really, really deal with it. So we've talked about comparison. I don't know if you mentioned comparison. Yes, they begin to compare themselves, and you know what happens when children begin to compare themselves. So this thing has also led to suicidal thoughts. When they start to feel like I can't meet up, I can't match up with my siblings, they might decide to think of taking their lives. Okay, so this is where we end it today. We've talked about instances where parents show favoritism, and we've talked about the consequences of this favoritism. And I mentioned to you guys some of the things or the causes of this favoritism, where the child resembles you or resembles a spouse that you don't love, or that mistreats you, and all of those. So I would like you to, if you have missed this session, if you're just coming in, please go back and rewatch this video. And I would like you to put down your questions. If you have a scenario, you want to explain for us to come in and give you advice on or counsel, put it down in the comment section. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you for listening. Thank you everyone for joining. I love you so much. I'll see you same time next week, Saturday, 3 p.m. And God bless you. Bye.